This week's episode is brought to you by John from Here's Johnny's Reviews. We are delighted to have John join us for our Valentine's episode where we talk about a movie that I'm sure is bound to put you in the right spirit for the most romantic day of the year. Guess what? It's not. Just to let you know. We also get to talk about Here's Johnny's Reviews, the podcast where John gives his thoughts on movies, both good and bad. John is a real trooper because he is in Scotland, and when we recorded this episode, it was like 2 a.m., and that is insane, but he got through it like a boss, and we hope you enjoy it. If you want to check out Here's Johnny's Reviews, or if you have a movie suggestion for us to cover on this show, we'll tell you how you can do just that at the end of the episode. And now, let's begin. This is The Graveyard Shift, horror with Sheldon and Mike. Welcome to episode 36 of The Graveyard Shift, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category and then proceed to carve it up into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we think is fun or relevant. And yes, there will be spoilers. I'm your host Sheldon, and I am not working Graveyard Shift alone. Please say hello to the guy that loves Valentine's Day, because as soon as it's over, there's a crap load of discounted chocolate to buy. My co-host Mike.
It's true. Hi. It's true. Hi.
And we have some extra company this week for our Valentine's episode. Please say hello to the guy that, out of the three of us, definitely has the coolest accent. From the podcast, Here's Johnny's Reviews, John.
Hello there. And yes, I am a Scottish person. Yay!
A first for our show. So, John, how are you holding up? Not falling asleep as it's super late in Scotland right now?
Yeah, it's about 2 a.m, so it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Oh, no.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us. It is a pleasure. So since this is our Valentine's episode, guys, gotta ask, any Valentine's plans this year?
Okay, personally, I hate Valentine's Day because I was dumped a day before Valentine's Day back in 2001 and decided to go and see Valentine in the cinema all by myself. Yay!
Oh.
So, yes, we tend to not do Valentine's Day, which is why my first Valentine's Day on my podcast was anti-Valentine's Day horror movies, such as Valentine, My Bloody Valentine, and My Bloody Valentine 3D. I just cannot stand Valentine. It's a waste of space, so-called holiday to sell chocolates and cards. So,
of all the holidays, this one was definitely the most manufactured, I'll call it. So what about you, Mike? Are you going to be living it up this Valentine's Day?
Well, I'll see if any of my groupies are feeling particularly lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll abuse my minor celebrity privilege.
Yeah, me and my wife, we don't do a whole lot for Valentine's Day. It's not a big deal for us. Like, we will probably go out to dinner. Like, it really will just use it as an excuse to go out for dinner. But I mean, we won't do any more than we do any other night that we go out for dinner. So not a big deal. So, yeah, so we're all crapping on this holiday, so that's good. But, John, I just wanted to mention about you're the one that actually suggested this movie, because you said, like, hey, I asked you about being on the show, and you said if you're going to be on the show, you want to be on our Valentine's episode, and that is the reason why, right? Just because you really don't like this day.
Oh, yes, this is just a complete waste of space this day. I mean, it's a complete sellout to sell cheap chocolates, cheap cards, overpriced teddy bears. Seriously.
Absolutely. I totally agree with the Facebook meme that we should cancel Valentine's Day and just have second Halloween.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw one that said, like, we should have second Thanksgiving. to which I replied, I'm thankful for this booty.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a Valentine's horror movie to talk about, and John, you suggested this one, and you've already mentioned it, so Mike, why don't you tell everybody what we've got for them today?
Today's episode is Put Some Heart Into It, because we watched My Bloody Valentine. The original from 1981.
We sure did, and this was John's request. So, been a while since I saw this. Like we were talking earlier before we started recording that this was the second time I watched this movie, but I think I was probably about 7 the last time I watched it, so I didn't remember a whole lot about it.
Which is a great age to watch this kind of movie.
Yeah, I know, right? Like this.
Yeah, it's a fantastic age to start watching horrors. Yeah.
Apparently I was unsupervised a lot as a kid. So.
Oh, I was supervised when I watched
close
horror
friends
movies.
were unsupervised. Me and one of my close friends were unsupervised a lot, and he had access to a video store, so that that led to both of us seeing some very inappropriate movies. But here is some info on My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine was formed in 1983 in Dublin, Ireland. But oh no, wait, that's the band, not the movie. Sorry, it was a movie released in February 13th, 1981. And it is a Canadian slasher film. It has a runtime of 90 minutes, had a budget of $2.3 million, and made a box office return of $5.7 million. It has an R rating for violence and gore, and apparently was heavily censored by the MPAA due to the fact that it had so much violence and gore and some. Did it have nudity? I have nudity written down, but I don't remember seeing any nudity in this one.
Did it get removed?
No, perhaps maybe that's what got removed.
Why would they remove nudity from a horror movie? Who the fuck was running the MPAA at the time?
Yeah, so in fact, approximately 9 minutes of the film was cut because of it, and only 3 minutes of that 9 were included on a DVD release a few years ago. I'd love to see what's missing. That missing 6 minutes. I don't know if the version we watched was a DVD version, so some stuff may have been added back in, but at the very least, there's 6 minutes still missing.
Yeah, the DVD I've had for about 12 years or so, has quite a lot of gore inserted into it, such as the old laundry lady getting burned alive in the washing machine is added back into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
I
what
saw that scene. Yeah, so... Wow.
And
So
it looked like it didn't belong there.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I like to find out what those 6 minutes are. So it has a 50% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 52% audience score. Honestly, I think it's probably a little harsh. But as for the plot, a decades-old folktale surrounding a deranged murderer killing those who celebrate Valentine's Day turns out to be true when a group defies the killer's orders and people start turning up dead. So I got a little bit of a little piece of trivia I found about this one. Not trivia, but just an interesting fact, I guess. The town in Nova Scotia that where they filmed this, when the owners of the mine found out that that their mine was selected to start filming this movie, they were a little embarrassed about the condition of the mine. So they actually spent $50,000 doing some minor repairs and touch-ups, like they fixed some of the interior walls, they painted it, and so when the film crew arrived to start filming, it looked nothing like what the pictures that their location scout had sent them. So the film crew had to spend another $75,000 to get it put back the way it looked originally.
Yes. I also heard that they had to spend money to make it more safe because there was a lot of gas leaks, and they had to make the mine safe. So I'm guessing they added a couple more $1,000 to that.
Yeah, that's considering what happens in the movie, that seems fitting.
Yes.
So it was $50,000 to fix it, $50,000 to unfix it, and then $25,000 on Febreze.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yes, so John, I kind of got ahead of myself a little bit, but that's okay because, we can still talk about it. Now, you suggested this one because you said you had seen it before. You had covered it on your podcast, Here's Johnny's Reviews.
Yes.
Why don't you tell everybody, all our listeners that may not be familiar with your show, what it's all about?
It's basically me taking apart a movie and pointing its good points and its bad points, also its stupid plot points. And then I just go through it with a fine-tooth comb and basically give it a review at the end. Simple.
Awesome. Sounds vaguely familiar, actually.
It sounds like what Sheldon would do if he smartened up and cut the dead weight from the show.
Oh dear.
I.e.
I'll
me.
let you know your place, Mike. Okay, well, I really can't wait to talk about this one. I think we've all got a lot of things that we want to point out. So let's get started. What we do, of course, here is, like I said, we talk about the good and the bad. The good could be anything, really. The bad, for that matter, as well. It could be things like an overall theme or story, or something much more specific, like a certain scene, certain line, a character, whatever. This is where we get to be as broad or nitpick as much as we want. So everybody have fun. So, as per tradition, Mike, how about you kick us off? Tell me something that you liked about this movie.
It had short but sweet animated credits. I like it. You get to see the words "My Bloody Valentine," and I think the O's have been replaced with hearts, and they're kind of beating and dripping, not too much, just enough to let you know like that they are bleeding, and then it went away. So it came in, was neat, and then disappeared before it got boring. So good credits.
Well, yeah, always good to start off with some entertaining credits. John, tell us something you liked about this one.
What I liked about this one was Sarah, the final girl, and how she was strong, independent, don't need no man, woman, but also the fact she had no fucks to give for Patty at the very end, where she's slapping around when she's having her little hysteric fit. I love the fact she was a tough, no-nonsense broad, in essence.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that, because this is 1981, and you're expecting her to just fall and go, oh, my ankle's twisted, oh, I can't get up, you know. But she was fighting, but she swung the spade or shovel. I mean, she was a fighter, so that's what I liked about it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that was one of my goods. That was one of my goods down the list, was a woman being helpful in a fight. It's a simple and realistic thing, and yet so rare and beautiful to behold in a horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I did not like that Paddy, the one in the red dress. She was getting on my last nerve. I was like, would you just die already? I mean,
Yeah.
We all knew that's where it was going anyway, so why beat around the bush, right? Just get to it and kill her already. Yeah, so that's good. Yeah, and like you said, John, it was like the early 80s. So this was actually filmed in 1980, so that was, you didn't usually see a strong female character like that. So good on them. So I don't think anybody that's a regular listener to the show is going to be surprised by this, but I freaking love the effects in this movie. Some good 80s practical gory effects in this one. One of the highlights, for example, was Harry Warden was the original killer's name, I believe. When he's found in the flashback sequence after being trapped in the mine, and he's eating the arm of one of the dead miners. I thought that was just amazing. It's just for a second. You just see it on screen just for a second, just enough for him to take a bite and start chewing.
And then he mugs the camera a bit.
Yeah. And it was just all around we can get into it a little more specifically, but just all the gore that was done that I thought was for the time, especially considering it wasn't a huge budgeted movie. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's actually one of my likes about this was the kills and the gores. It's actually quite bloody for what it is, you know.
Absolutely. That's why I was saying, missing 9 minutes with what they left in. I can't imagine what they took out.
Well,
and there was a good duration between them. Like, there are some movies where they'll go 40, 50, 60 minutes between kills. But this one kept a nice duration.
Yeah. Well, legend has it the girl that gets killed in the showers, her death scene was much more elaborate. She had the sort of shower head through her throat, and you seen the water pouring out of her throat, sort of thing. So that was cut. And there's another thing I can't remember what it was now. I think it was the sheriff when he finds the bloodied heart, which, by the way, they are real hearts. Did you know that?
I didn't, but I wondered because that seemed like a lot of detail to put into a prop.
Yeah, they're real. I think they were sheep's and cow's hearts, I believe. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay, well, the special effects guys are not getting any credit for that one.
now the butcher down the street is, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Special thanks to M&M Meat Shops.
Yeah, it's all. You're right. Like all the kills were really well done in this. I enjoyed them all. So other than the real hearts, like the special effects team for this did a fantastic job. Like kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mike, what else you got for us?
Good acting on the dog's part. Chasing cars, giving the sheriff attitude when he interrupts them trying to eat the gift from the killer. Like, they're just in his face, and then when he tells them to back off, they start like puffing up their chest like fratty douche bros. Like, come at me, bro. You want to make something of it?
Yeah, you just stole one of my.
And then they back off.
Yeah, you just stole one of my WTFs. With the wild dogs. They're actually a real pack of wild dogs. They were not trained dogs. You know?
What?
Yeah, they were real dogs.
So they just showed up at the set?
Yeah. They just run right on set. So, yeah, that was interesting.
Wait, so the car getting chased was just an ad lib?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a random wild dog.
Like any small Canadian town, there's just like packs of wild dogs just running around. Chasing cars and eating garbage.
But they must, what about the heart scene when they're chewing on the heart? Like, was that also an ad lib? Like, you can't tell. I could not believe that that's an ad lib as well.
I'm not sure about that. All I know is that was a real pack of wild dogs that's running chaotic around that little town.
Well, they added character, and I like them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John, so tell us something else, like on your good column about this one.
No disco. This was 1980.
Yes!
There was no disco beats. I was like, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love a good bit of disco, but this would not have worked in this sort of gritty, I don't know, Canadian town, so to speak. I mean, but one thing I didn't like, but I'll get back to the bad part of it later, was country and western music. I can't stand country and western music. It's like,
oh, me too.
Terrible.
Me too. Yeah, that would have been a tough one. Like, I'm not all surprised because, of course, I grew up. I don't remember much about 1980, but because I would have been like 2 years old. But I grew up in the early 80s and in a small Canadian town, and I can tell you, rock or country music is what you were going to hear. I wasn't surprised to hear some country songs coming over the jukebox in this one. I'm also not surprised at all that there was no disco because I really don't think in small towns anyway that disco was a big thing. So, and it's weird because I heard on this was another podcast that I listened to. They were reviewing a movie and it was filmed in Canada. And even though it was filmed in 1981, there was a scene where the characters were at a disco. And I remember one of the guys talking about the movie. It's like, but this was 1981, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, well, why were they listening to disco music? And the other one goes, because it was Canada and they're always like at least a couple of years behind. I'm like, oh, that's nice, prick. Delete this podcast. But anyway, yeah, that was good. That was a good point and a bad point, John. I totally agree with you on that one. And so I'm going to say next on my list for the good. This is going to get very specific here because this is one scene in particular, and John, you already mentioned it. Mabel in the dryer.
Ah, yes. Yes.
Great corpse discovery scene. Pretty damn grotesque. Goes back to those practical effects I mentioned earlier. I love how the police chief actually sniffed the body out.
Yeah.
Well, I could just imagine it, like, as soon as that door opened, like, it is just wafting.
Yeah. Because let me tell you, I've used laundromats. This is one of the advantages of actually having my own house now is that, like, I don't have to go out to a laundromat anymore. But I've encountered some pretty horrific smells in laundromats. But it's usually, somebody's put something in one of the dryers or something that they're not supposed to.
Or somebody just thinks if they that they can dry the sweat and BO out of their clothes and save on soap.
Oh, there's people. Let me tell you, there's people that try that. They just look at stuff and they're like, you know what? That's reasonably clean. I'll put it in a dryer with a dryer sheet, and that'll take care of it.
It'll kill the bacteria in there.
Yeah, and but I just love that scene. He's walking in. He's calling to Mabel, and you see him sniffing. He sniffs his pipe. He thinks there's something funky with his tobacco, I guess.
I think he's just trying to get I think he's trying to get a familiar smell in his nose again.
Maybe that's it, but he looks confused, and then he opens the dryer, and poor old Mabel just flops out. She looks like about a medium well done.
Yes. Must have smelled like bad barbecue in there,
Oh, absolutely. Or good barbecue, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, well, it's 80s. I'm guessing hairspray galore, bad barbecue.
Oh, yeah. There's a nice chemical smell in there for sure. Plus the old lady smell,
Yeah, old lady smell plus a heated perm. Ugh.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Nobody's buying that scented candle. Okay, Mike, do you have anything else on your good list?
I like when hipster John Candy breaks up the fight between the two assholes. And his girl comforts him. I just thought that, as far as horror movies go, this was a nice flourish to flush out his character. Mm-hmm. That she's not just, hooking up with this guy, but, she genuinely cares for him and adores him. And, he's being a cool dude. And plus, hipster John Candy. I mean, I just liked him from start to grisly finish.
Yes. Yeah, very true. Very true. Unfortunately...
Okay, John.
Oh, sorry. Is it me then?
You go ahead.
Right, this may be a little bit controversial here, but male nudity. They actually had real male body nudity in this, and not the six-packed pretty boys of, today. They actually had slightly overweight fat guys did, skinny guys did, but they were all real bodies. It's not like...
Yes.
So, yay.
Imagine a movie with a realistic view of what the typical human looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Once again, for a movie from 1981, in some areas, a little progressive. So,
yeah,
good for them.
I mean, as I pointed out in my podcast, what is it with Hollywood's horror for not showing the male form? There's only a few actors that will do it, such as Michael Fassbender and Ewan McGregor. But why didn't this is what annoyed me about the 80s. You had full frontal female nudity, and most of the times you had one ass shot of a man, if you're lucky,
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The 80s in particular were... it got very chauvinistic for sure.
Well, it was one of the many decades of toxic masculinity. So, it was only men making movies that men wanted to see, and only men like them.
Yeah, exactly.
So not a lot of representation, sadly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so I think everything on my good list has been covered. Do you guys have anything else to add for the good?
I did. The only one good music I liked in this was the Gordon Lightfoot style song at the end when they sing the ballad of Harry. And the last thing on my good list is that this whole movie is like Riverdale 10 years later. You got a red-headed Archie Andrews, and then you've got a cocky, black-haired Reggie Mantle type fella arguing with the big, strong, blonde guy, the Moose. Except they're arguing over Betty instead of Midge. And then you got the bartender, Pop Tate. And then you've got the sheriff who's always telling the kids to stay out of trouble, like Mr. Weatherby. So I'm just seeing it's like Riverdale 10 years later. It's like Riverdale after the Gold Rush.
There you go. Okay, John, you got anything else to add for our good list before we move on to the bad?
Two very quick ones. No sequel, which stunned me because this is open-ended, but there was no sequel. And this was 1981, the year of the decade of the sequel, yet there was no sequel. And finally, this thing was mercilessly short. I mean, it was hour and 35 minutes, I believe. around 25 minutes. It was short. Yay! Nothing worse than having a long-winded, boring horror film with nothing much happening in it. You know?
Well, I guess the famous player cinema just didn't feel like footing the bill again.
Well, that was weird. I saw Mike. You pointed that out at the end credits. It's the famous player cinemas. How often do you see like an actual like line of theaters pony up the money for a movie?
I know. It's just like, what are we going to find out that Troll 2 was funded by Cineplex Odeon?
Okay, so that's the good. That takes care of everything we liked about this movie. But now let's talk about the bad. Some things we don't like about this one. And John, why don't you start us off?
After Patty's death, the girl in the red dress, Sarah becomes utterly bloody and useless. Even though at the start of the sort of end scenes, she was pretty much practically helpful, and she was actually attacking the killer. After Patty's death, she's completely useless.
Yeah, you're right. They kind of dropped the ball there at the end. It's like they need at least one hysterical female on the screen. So if Patty's dead, then Sarah has to take over.
Yeah, you're up. Hot potato. Yeah, so my bad would be the so much shitty music. And at the 41-minute mark, you hear like a Blue Suede Shoes knockoff on the jukebox, and then fake Johnny Cash later on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they didn't even want to bother, like, trying to get rights to any actual songs, so they probably just got some, like, locals to to do some of the music for this one. Some things that people will, give them the rights to use their music just for the exposure.
Yeah. Apparently, according to the Internet Movie Database, it was a guy from Glasgow that done the last song at the very end.
Oh, really?
Yes, if you give me a second, if this works.
The Gordon Lightfoot Ballad of Harry Wheat Warden?
I think so, yeah. I read it somewhere on Internet Movie Database, yeah. He's actually from somewhere in Glasgow, so I'm on the Scots.
Being Nova Scotia, so they got like a heavy link to the Scots. It means in the fucking name.
Yeah, true.
Very true. Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna put it right out there, and like some people, I've mentioned this about this movie, and some people disagreed. I got to say, the acting in this was pretty harsh.
Mm-hmm.
I was not a fan. They, everybody at least at the time were pretty unknown, and you could tell. They, I mean, not that okay. I don't want to say that because somebody's an unknown actor. That means that they're not a very good one, because that's certainly not true. But the majority of the actors in this weren't doing it for me.
Yeah,
Came off pretty rough.
Yeah, I've got that down on my bads also. I've got it. What the actors from Bad Guys Are Us, Bad Actors Are Us even. I mean, some of the acting is just, oh my god. And the Crazy Ralph wannabe, oh dear god, he was terrible.
Hams are us.
Yeah.
And while we're shitting on that, I gotta say, terrible editing. I just thought the like when we see the dryer reveal, it needlessly goes in slow motion, and we've encountered this in movies before. Mm-hmm. They try to like so that you can like, I guess they want you to take it all in. But you know what you could do is just show it happening, and then we'll be like, oh shit, that's so sudden. When a reveal goes on in time lapse, I'm just wondering, like, you're not taking me in. You're just making me wonder, why are we perceiving this head flopping around in the dryer in such like 60 frames per minute? Like, this is just not. And then then the lighting, like, there are times when the same scene looks like it was shot at different times. Like, we see the I sent you a picture, Sheldon, of hipster John Candy when he's in the mine and he sees the couple. As he walks up and discovers them, he's barely lit, And then when he sees them and we see his reaction, he's like completely washed in light. And that's before the miner shows up with the light on his helmet. So, yeah, it looks like nobody actually looked at this for continuity and said, yeah, we need to like get rid of that light.
Yeah.
So, bad production.
Yeah. Or as I put it, it would take a shot every time you see a mistake. You will be hammered in 20 minutes. I mean, it's a complete joke.
Yep, you said it. Oh, God, yeah, so that was, totally agree with all the points, like, for sure, that, I think you guys may have knocked off all my bads off the list. I do have something else, but I want to keep that for later. And, yeah, so if you guys got something else to add to the bad list, go for it.
Guess first, John.
Oh god, I've got like one, two, about several actually, because this movie is just terrible. But the Dolly Parton wannabe music, what the hell was that all about?
Oh my god.
We could spend like the entire podcast just talking about the music in this one.
Yeah. But the ultimate thing about this thing that makes it bad is the 2009 remake. Oh my god. That's just
Did they get even worse music?
No. The music's not too. I mean, it's not too bad. It's just like the story is ridiculously stupid. It's just. Moving on. But my pet peeve of this movie was Howard doing the wannabe guy from Friday the 13th Part 2, the ginger that doesn't get killed by Jason.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his character's name, but him, the one he tries so hard to be him, it was unbelievable. I just thought it was like
I got him listed in my notes as Archie Andrews on meth.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of the guy that played Sandman in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
I don't acknowledge that movie exists, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So my bad is Psycho Killer hates dances. Okay, his enemy in that movie was workplace negligence, and that was it. Let him kill his supervisors, slap some workplace safety posters on the wall, and leave it at that. The second he goes after dances, you put down his ass and you party on.
Yeah. Well, I just the whole thing about them, like, you know, too, that I just wanted to add was just like these people, and I mean, I was going to say teenagers, but they're not teenagers. Like, these are, I mean, they're young, but they're not teens.
Yeah, they're in their 20s.
Yeah. They thought that the best idea was to have the Valentine's party at a mine.
Yes.
Like, without a psycho killer going around, you know, that's pretty dangerous right there.
And a psycho killer with a propensity for mining equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my WGF songs, though. They had a party in a mine. Who has a party in a mine? I mean, for crying out loud.
And another peeve of mine, we see Sylvia getting her skull turned into a high-pressure shower head, and the only close-up we get is distraught Archie Andrews.
Wait, I thought that was Harriet that was killed in the shower.
Sylvia.
Oh, right. Oh, well. See, my other problem with this movie is there's characters that are not named half the time. You're just going, who's he? I mean, like, for instance, the guy who gets killed in the hot dog thing, what was his name?
Oh, yeah. No idea.
Dave. Dave. It was Dave.
Oscar Mayer.
Frank Neil Furter.
Yeah, that was I love that kill though. But yeah, there was a lot of it's one of these movies that other than the killer, I had a hard time remembering people's names.
Yeah.
And speaking of the killer, one of the things I got put on the list for the bad is that really were people surprised that Axel was the killer?
No.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you didn't already put it, like, figure that out or kind of figure that it was him, like, you know, halfway through the movie, I think everyone at least knew by the time that, you know, it got to his, and I'm going to put this in quotes, death scene. Because Did he actually think that he was just going to die just by accidentally falling into the water and drowning, not seeing him drown or anything, just see the air bubbles coming up from the water?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
if we don't see a corpse floating, like, it's obvious that he's...
You didn't even see him fall. Like, he died off screen. Like, really? Come on.
And Axel, I mean, I can ask, when they finally take the mask off, why does Axel have that sleepy Ivan Drago face? Just staring down. If everyone dies, they die. Like, you'd think he'd be, like, carrying on his emotion of trying to kill the guy, but no, he's like a cat when you put a clothespin on their neck. He just, like, shut down and went still.
Yeah. What do you guys think about, like, his motivation for killing? Like, Does it seem weird? And I mean, I'm, trying to justify, like, the action, not justify, but trying to justify, like, a movie plot of, like, a psychotic miner killer. But so he witnessed his dad being killed by the crazy miner, so him himself became a crazy miner.
Hey, that's the premise of Dexter.
It's also the premise of the Friday the 13th remake, where Jason sees his mother getting beheaded, and he becomes the killer, so...
Yeah, that's true. It's not the first. Yeah, it won't be the first time that's used for sure.
And was it the fifth where Jason was actually just a counselor, and he went nuts because his kid got killed?
EMT.
So he's like, if my kid dies, everyone's kid dies.
Yes,
Yeah.
Roy the EMT. Yes.
That's right.
And my final bad is, why hold a dying psycho's hand? We've seen this in movies, and it's never good. If a psycho reaches out to you and he's like, hold my hand, fuck you. No, you tried to kill people. Fuck you. Fuck you. I ain't holding your hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, John, anything else to add to the bad? I know you had quite a few, so let's have it.
One final one. There was no killer theme. No theme for the killer. I mean, Michael had his Halloween theme. Jason had his stuff, and Freddy had the piano theme. But there's no theme for the killer in this horror movie at all.
Did you forget the entire credits?
Oh, come on.
He had an entire ballad. What are you talking?
Oh, please.
Yeah, a Gordon Lightfoot style wreck of the Valentine's Day Mine Massacre thing.
No, that was just bad.
No, but I know what you mean. Yeah, like that's it was especially at the time that was a pretty common trope that like all the killers had to have their specific theme music.
Well, they did rip off that with his minor, with his little Darth Vader minor thing.
Oh yeah, like his heavy breathing. Yeah. Okay, so there's one thing that I want to mention. I didn't know whether or not to put it on the bad or the what the fuck, but I'll just say it now. The girl at the beginning that he kills right at the start.
Who the hell
Do we
is she?
know anything about her?
She's the town
Where she
floozy.
came from? Yeah, like nobody mentioned that there was a girl missing or found, or like a body was found or anything like that. Like as far as we know, it just used her heart, right? Like that's what he sent the heart to the
The mayor.
Yeah,
was it the mayor? Yeah.
and she had like a breathing rig, same as him, right? Like she took hers off.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in full mind gear the first time we see her.
Yeah, that-
what the hell is she doing in there?
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, that's actually one of my WTF list also. Is who has sex in a mine? I mean, I ask you. Of all the places to have sex, have in a mine? Yes, well done, love.
I can guarantee you, John, you're saying who has sex in a mine? If Mike ever has the opportunity to have sex in a mine, he's doing it.
Yeah, that ain't the only shaft getting visited.
Oh,
God.
God.
Yeah, it's a good drumming for
Oh.
her.
But yeah, that is absolutely true. Like, I mean, that's where you go to bang. Really, that's the best place you could find.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the top of my what the fucks was random mining hookup.
Yeah. If I ever hooked up with somebody and they said, "Hey, let's go down into the mine to do this," first thing thought's going to come to my head, well, this person's going to try to kill me. That is the only reason they're going to ask me to go down to a mine with them.
Mm-hmm. And they go pretty deep into the mine also. I mean, it's not like it's a doorway, it's right deep into the mine, and they go, oh, let's have sex here. Yes, with my lovely little heart tattooed on my tit. Yeah, I mean, that was like,
Yep.
God.
Yeah, I thought that was just so odd. Like, it was never, we see her at the beginning, she gets killed, and we never find out anything about her again. Like, that's it.
Yeah, like, where's Dottie the hoe? Oh, nobody's seen her. Oh, look, there she is, dangling upside down.
With her heart missing.
Yeah. So I just thought that was weird. The only other thing I want to say for the bad was it goes back to the comment I made about the acting was pretty rough. The mayor's reaction to finding the heart in the box. Like, literally, his reaction, he just, like, slides back on the truck seat and starts going, I was like, I understand that you got these flashbacks, this traumatic incident that happened, but really, dude? Come on.
Now we get to see what Barney Fife looks like when he gets triggered. Oh, golly!
Yeah, that was probably rehashing my bad acting point, but yeah, I just had to put that there just because it stood out to me a lot. I had to rewind that part and watch it again. That couldn't be. I was like, that couldn't have been possibly that bad. My brain made it look worse than it actually was, but after the second viewing, like, no, it was that bad. Never mind. Okay, so if no one else has anything to add to the bad column, let's go to what I think is safe to say is Mike's favorite column, the what the fuck, which is where we just talk about something that completely perplexed us, where we had no reaction to. We don't know what column to put it in, so we will put it in the column called what the fuck. So, Mike, I know you must be itching, and John, I think we've already taken a few off your list, so
Yeah.
Mike, how about you let loose?
Well, we took the first one off my list with the random mining hookup, but the second one, and I think the last one on my WTF list, is I'm going to rig a killer dummy since tensions are high, and I'm sure there's a killer loose, so I can traumatize kids, and then I'm going to test it again and again and again to entertain myself, because I just can't stop.
Yeah, well,
That's what I had.
oh, to be fair, it was pissed on whiskey. Was it bourbon he was drinking? So,
Yeah.
to be fair.
Oh yeah, this was not the plan coming from a sober mind. That's
No.
for sure. But I'm like thinking like, so you've got this spring-loaded, fake miner setup with a real pickaxe whose arm swings up quickly when someone opens the door, and all I'm thinking is, if somebody opens the door without checking and just opens the door and walks into it, they're going to get that pickaxe right through their head.
I know! We never see it happen!
But it happens to him, except with the real miner. After Axel kills him, I'm like, that's exactly what would have happened to the first person that opened that door.
So, listen, Axel's been hiding in that shed the whole time, watching him set up this rig, and just thinking, boy, if this guy, if the fates intertwine, and this guy checks it 3 times, I'll let him do it twice, and then, boy, the look on his face will be priceless when I take the rig off, take its place, and wait for him to open it up again. The look on his face will be priceless, especially since I'm going to drive a pick through it.
Yeah. I was going to write down that, but I'm like, this is too common for a lot of horror movies. It's like, did the killer just hide in places and just hope that somebody's going to come by?
This is going to be so funny.
Yeah. It's like, on the days that nobody got killed, was the killer just hiding away somewhere, just hoping somebody would show up so he could kill them, but nobody did?
He's just playing through the pain of a massive leg cramp while he's hiding in the back of someone's car, just so that no one notices his skull over the window.
Yeah. That was good. You knocked off the one I had on my list. So, John, any more what the fucks?
Yes, where they have the cooked meats or sandwiches at the scrapyard. Who the hell eats scrapyard reheated food of a car engine? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, get a hot plate in the shed.
And was it? I think it was actually like TV dinners or something they were warning.
Yeah, it's pre-cooked stuff. I mean, what the? I was like, how the hell is that hygienic, for crying out loud? Oh dear God!
What a waste of gasoline. I mean, this was in the late '80s. The oil crisis was still rippling through.
Yeah, that definitely, I sort of remembered that part from the first time, but as soon as I saw it the second time, I'm like, seriously, they're heating like 1980s Swanson TV dinners or something on a car engine. Like, nobody thought of, like, if they really wanted it that badly, nobody thought of just like, hey, we could just like make a little fire here or something. Like, whatever happened to just like heating your food on a campfire? Like,
Yeah, exactly. What happened to heat it on a campfire? Yeah. It's a complete joke.
and if I remember correctly, somebody had a fire lit in like like an oil drum or something nearby during that scene anyway. So
Yeah, you just put like a little mesh over the fire, put the dinner on that.
yeah, anything like that was you said it then. That was completely weird. I don't know what the point of that was, but did somebody just think like, hey, you know what? A car engine creates enough heat that you could actually heat like a frozen dinner on it. So somebody decided to throw it in there.
Yeah, well, someone probably told the guys, hey, you know what? One time I cooked an egg on my radiator, and the guy's just like, why not a whole meal? And then someone's just like, dude, I got this great idea for the movie.
Yeah. Oh, totally got to use this. Okay, so anyone else have anything to add to the WTF column?
I'm out.
Yeah, I've got one or two. One, TJ's hanky code. Now, I looked this up, and if you notice, TJ, the sort of hero, had little hankies tied around his neck and around his wrists. Well, I looked up, according to this thing, he's an aggressive top who's into BDSM and fisting.
What?
As you do.
What? Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was howling laughter at that one. You've got to be joking. Oh, dear God. Anyway.
So you thought him and Axel were going to find out that the reason this girl's tearing them apart is because she's the unnecessary one in the triangle?
Yes, he wanted to deep drill him. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And was it me, or was I coming across just a tad camp? I was thinking to myself, you're supposed to be this great big hero guy, but you're a tad, dare I say, flouncy, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, he gets possessive
sure.
and chumpy, and then when he gets like, he goes out for some fresh air, then he starts like crying against the wall. I'm like, oh, poor you. You acted like an asshole, and now people treat you like, well, you acted like an asshole.
Yeah,
It's
true.
like, oh, it's not fair. It's not fair. Well, time to go kill people.
I mean, I took care of her when he was away. Why doesn't she just love me forever? It's like, no, maybe you're kind of an asshole. Like, it is possible that there's two people in the town that can be an asshole. It's not like TJ got, like, he grabbed, like, the musical chair with the word asshole written on the seat.
Yeah, that's true, actually, yeah. Yeah.
And John, did you have another one?
Yes. Utterly useless cops. I mean...
That's a first for this podcast.
Yes, it's very first, yeah. And my other pet peeve was a records keeper of the mental house, or not house.
Ha!
No
Oh,
fucks are given, you know.
Fucking useless.
Yeah, no fucks are given. Like, oh, he's probably dead, escaped, or on a slab, or whatever the hell she says. What the fuck was that? You should have been fired on the spot, you bloody bitch. You know?
And she looks like she's been there for so many years that she would know the patients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I mean,
like,
this is
like
not
so.
her.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, so as soon as somebody is not in the mental institute anymore because transferred or dies, do you just throw away all the information you have on them, all the files on them? Just you have no records whatsoever.
He doesn't exist anymore, so he never existed.
Is that how Michael Myers escaped easily?
Yeah, it's like, well, he got out, so we can't find him, so might as well throw away all records of him now.
Yeah.
He doesn't exist anymore. Not our problem.
Yeah, that's Sam Loomis' problem now. It's no wings. Get piss off, you know. Yes, well.
Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, I made a little note of that too. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's like really, it's like you don't know what happened to him, and you have no records of this mental patient, this murderous mental patient that was in your institute. You have no records on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a great system. That's that 80s.
You think they'd just have like one word like dead? Like, at least have his death certificate in a folder so that you can, like, we don't have to add shit to this anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's very true, actually.
And this is in small town Nova Scotia. I guarantee you, if you go there right now in 2018, they still have their same filing system. I promise
Probably
that same lady at the desk.
Yes.
On 50 a day, chain smoking, yeah, Still no zero fucks given, yes. It's
Okay, so if that is it, then that is everything we have to say about My Bloody Valentine from 1981, except for one thing. And Mike, I'm very much looking forward to this because you had, unlike some of the last few movies we did, you actually had some really good ones to choose from this time.
Yeah, we got some selection here for this week's Kill of the Week. And our two main contestants is Mabel getting dry roasted like a bag of peanuts, and the bartender getting a pick through his jaw/eye socket. And I guess pathos has to be the deciding factor, because they both looked sufficiently gory and shocking for my taste. But the bartender telling you kids, oh, you stay away from that mine, you stay away from the mine. Like, well, they work there, so you can't stay away from the mine, but he's telling you, don't throw a party or you're going to get killed. And then he decides, I'm going to scare the fuck out of these kids because I'm an asshole with nothing better to do because the internet doesn't exist yet. So I'm just going to set up this fucking rig. Like, how long did it take him to hook that thing up, get the levers working with the door, set up a pulley? I mean, this must have taken like at least a good 45 minutes, if he already knew what he was doing from the start.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's not that's take it from a guy that's really spends a lot of time making some very rudimentary animatronic Halloween decorations. It's not like a really quick job to do that, to put that together.
Well, I don't know. That was in the pool room where all the uniforms are hung up to be dried. In the shower room, how does that one work? So I'm guessing you just pulled down a overall, stuck a helmet on it, and somehow made the arm swing up and down.
Yeah, what was the deal with that room with all the clothes on it? Did everyone just like steam clean their clothes and then hang them up in a room rather than outside to be dried in the sun?
I was like thinking, like, so they hang all the clothes like up high where like all the methane is. Is that why soak up all that methane to keep them? I have no idea. I certainly don't know the first thing about mining, but that seemed very weird to me.
Yeah, does everyone hang their laundry on the fucking rafters?
Yeah, that place must have stunk because there must be about 30 to 50 guys in that place. I mean, that must have reeked to high heaven. Especially if there's no actual showers, it's just like pipes bent at the end to squish out the teeniest amount of water. How do you make...
Yeah, they don't even have...
And, oh my god, everybody is just disgusting. Everyone, when you saw all the scenes, and not just this movie, any movie, in real life, when you see miners, it's like everybody looks disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody there is in need of not just a shower, you need like a fire hose turned on you because it's just ridiculous. I, for one, could not mine. I could not be a miner. I would not be able to handle it.
Oh, hell no. Too claustrophobic.
Like, they got those masks on, and yet every single one of them looks like an Al Jolson impersonator by the time they make it to the showers. I'm like, what the fuck does that mask even do? Like, clearly your eyes, your cheeks, your jaw, every part of your face is completely covered in ash and soot. That mask did fuck all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Mike, good choice. Honestly, for me, I would have went with Mabel just because I just thought that was probably the most gruesome. But I do understand going with that one. Like, that was definitely a good kill.
if they didn't fuck it up with that weird slow motion, like where the head is like when it like flops out of the dryer, like let it be quick and then like let the head like roll around with the dryer rather than have it just be like some weird slow motion fall. Like that's where it lost points.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. Like this, it's hard to beat. It's hard to beat a pickaxe through the face for a kill of the week for sure.
Oh, especially when the eyeball's like dangling out of the socket afterwards. I didn't even mind the drastic lighting change.
Yeah, they made good use of that curvature on the on the pick for sure.
Oh yeah.
So, guys, that is our movie coverage for this week, but we're not done just yet because we want to hear from you. Do you have a movie suggestion for us? Do you agree, disagree with everything we said about this movie? Or you have anything else that you'd like to let us know? You've got some options. You can do it the old-fashioned way through email by sending an email to graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod, or you can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you are feeling particularly generous, you can make a donation to help out with some of the administrative costs of the show by going to www.patreon.com/graveyard. For just $1, you get access to some exclusive Patreon content. We put some bonus material there that is just for our Patreon sponsors. And like I said, for $1 goes a long way to helping the show. But of course, if you don't have enough money to give us money, that is quite all right. You can still help the show out a ton by going on to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, that actually helps us out the most. If you're not an Apple user, you can still check us out on Google Play, Stitcher, and you can do the same thing there. Rate, review, subscribe. That also helps out. And if none of those ways are an option for you, you can just do what you're doing right now. You're hearing us some way. Keep listening. Spread us on social media. And if you know anyone that would like to hear us talking about horror movies and giving our thoughts, share it with them. Let them know about us. Want to say again, thanks to our guest, John, from the Here's Johnny's Review podcast. Thank you so much for doing this with us tonight.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all.
And if people want to find out more about your show, how could they go about doing that?
It's on SoundCloud. It's Here's Johnny's Reviews on SoundCloud. And hopefully, by the time this is out, I should have it up on Podbean. So look for it on there.
Excellent. And you have a Twitter account that they can follow as well?
Yes, it's Here's Johnny's Pod. Simple.
Excellent. It's easy to find, and we are going to put the links to that in the show notes, so to make it easy for all you guys to find that and check out John's reviews. It's good stuff. I particularly enjoy it, and that's why I couldn't wait to get him on the show. It's been a long time coming, so I'm very glad we finally got a chance to do this. And Mike, if people can't get enough of you, where can they get more of your sweet, sultry voice?
Well, you can hear us reviewing each and every issue of Nintendo Power Magazine, the beautiful magazine that helped make Super Nintendo, and Game Boy games beatable back in the late 80s and all throughout the 90s before the internet came along and made that redundant. But there's still plenty to talk about. There's the excellent mail letters, the coverage, which can be good, bad, or have the most curious artwork, and then there's everything else in the magazine and ridiculous tangents between me and my co-hosts when the magazine spurs us to wander out to color outside the lines.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're a fan of old Nintendo games or you had a subscription of Nintendo Power Magazine back in the day like I did, check it out. I think you're going to like it. So thanks again to our guests, John and Mike. Thanks to you as always. And guys, thank you for joining us. And please come see us again next time on The Graveyard Shift. Yay! Woo! Okay, so that covers the good. That's everything we liked about this movie. Now let's talk about the bad, because I'm pretty sure we've got plenty to talk about there as well. So, John, why don't you kick us off for the bad? Tell me something that you don't like about this movie.
Or this internet connection.
Ha ha!
Oh,
Yeah. It's so bad, he's just stunned. He doesn't know what to say.
John?
I think we've lost John.
Or his Skype is rapidly catching up and he's hearing us talk like chipmunks. In the future!